Hey guys, I'm doing this video today on networking. So if you find that when you go to a networking event, you get anxious or nervous, this might be a great video for you, a little bit of do's and don'ts. So when you get to a networking event, the first thing I would tell you is standing right in the front area, like the door when people are coming in, is possibly the worst situation you could put yourself in. Because think of you when you go to a networking event. You know, you've been in traffic, you just, all of a sudden you get there and it's like, you're like, oh, where's the person I'm meeting? I mean, maybe like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been a day, I need a glass of wine, where's the bar? So you wanna get to what I call stage 2. So that's really stage 1, when people are walking in, they're frantically looking maybe for a coworker. Like again, they have a little bit of anxiety a lot of times coming in. So get out of that area and head to the bar, which is stage 2. And if it doesn't have a bar, it has some kind of area where you can get coffee or bagels or something. And that's probably an area that I would call like the stage 2 area, okay? So if it, and let's just go by if it's an evening event and they do have a bar, because a lot of times we're going to evening events. So when you're waiting in line there to get something to drink, if you're by yourself, a tip that I always give people is stand on either end of the bar, whatever side you want to stay on the bar, and that actually is a good place to hang out. Because people are coming in to get maybe a cocktail, and so when they're walking in and you're standing there, maybe you're waiting for somebody to come through the door, that might be a place where you just say, you flash a smile, introduce yourself, and just say, what are you getting? Or, maybe just could be any kind of small talk, but they're waiting in line. They're clearly by themselves. It's a great time just to have a conversation with somebody. Now, my ideal spot is not there, but sometimes it's just hanging out there. If you want to check out the door, it might be a great area to hang out in. Where you really want to be is stage 3, and that's where like the socializing is happening. So as you're leaving the bar, it's usually out from in that area. And so that's really where you're going to pick up, great conversation with people, and you're probably maybe going to be meeting somebody. A lot of times though, there's people like me that go by themselves. So a lot of times I'm going to a networking event by myself, or I might be meeting a client and that person is late, and so I'm just hanging out there by myself. So you've got to get great at the art of conversation, and you got to just get outside of your comfort zone. Now, I've been networking for a very long time, so for me it's not, I don't get nervous or feel awkward if I'm by myself. I'm also the type of person that can eat by myself at a restaurant, sitting at kind of a bar, and I have no problem doing that. So, but I'm an extrovert. So there's other areas that maybe I don't feel as confident, but those types of social environment, areas, it's not a big deal for me. But with that said, that isn't the case for everybody, okay? And you can get better at this and get more comfort with it. But the one thing I want you to realize is your body language. This is a big thing. A lot of times when people are there, you'll see them standing there with their like arms crossed and waiting for somebody. That is just not really a good way to have somebody come up and talk to you, and you're not very approachable. The other thing is hands in pocket is like seriously the Achilles heel to networking. Do not put your hands in the pocket. It's not great body language. You really want to be holding a drink and just be relaxed, but don't put your hand in the pockets, okay? Be mindful of your resting face. Now, I'm saying that because some people have very strong resting face, and it can come across as alarming and not very approachable. So just kind of be cognizant of that. So that's the other thing. The one thing you also want to be not rehearsed, but you just kind of want to know what you want to say is you absolutely want to know what your brand is. So if you're a solo entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you work for somebody else, it doesn't matter. We all have our own brand. Know what you want, we call it our 30-second elevator speech. I just don't love that. I really think it's more positive to talk about, tell me about your brand. So I want you to know more about what are you going to say when somebody says, tell me about yourself. What are you going to say? Okay, so you don't want, again, it doesn't want to seem rehearsed, but you do want to have an idea of what you how you want to describe you and your business, and you want to be rather succinct, especially if your business is super complicated and it's not, if you're like data analytics and you're really in the thick of it and you're going to get really down the rabbit hole. With someone like me who that is just not my thing, you're going to lose me quick. So you want to make sure that you're not going too in depth, and it's pretty quick and it's pretty succinct, but I'm going to have a good idea of kind of what you do. Okay? The other thing is if you can do research before the event so you can kind of know who's going to be there. So if you do, if you have somebody that you ideally want to meet, go on their LinkedIn, see, find out a little bit about them so you can approach them and just say, hey, I saw you were going to be at this event. And actually, I went on your LinkedIn and I looked at your background. It's quite impressive. I didn't know you were in the military. Tell me a little bit about that. That is actually, does not seem creepy. It does not seem stalky. It seems like you're smart about your business. And you actually take time and you're cognizant. And for some people, and for most people, I would say that is actually impressive. So if you feel comfortable doing that, I suggest it. If there's somebody I really want to meet, I'd say, hey, I saw you were on the invite list and I really wanted to meet you. So I actually went on your LinkedIn and did a little bit of a sneak peek on what your background was. And wow, I gotta say, it's quite impressive. Like that is definitely, obviously I'm not going to say that if they're not an impressive person. It needs to be genuine and it needs to be truthful. But who doesn't like to hear that their background isn't impressive and that somebody was impressed by them? But again, don't say it if it's not true. Okay? The other thing I would say is the biggest thing, is the art of conversation. So have you ever talked to somebody and they said something like, I don't know, you're talking about something, what is it that you like to do on the weekend? And I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually love going boating. It's one of my favorite things to do. Oh, you're one of those. You're a boater. It just sounds boring. What do you do? Just go boating and go drinking? What? I don't get it. That's already super negative. So you don't want to be one of those people that you're like, not me, or, oh, you're one of those people. Not at all the art of conversation. However, if you are talking to somebody that does that to you, what you can do is try to get around that and just say, oh, well, what is it that you like to do in the weekend? Just blow it off and move forward. Don't even let it don't pay any mind to that. Because honestly, you know what? Give them benefit of the doubt. They could be nervous. Maybe they had a really bad day. I mean, we've all said stuff like that where you're like, oh, that kind of sounded not very nice. I probably should have said that. But you just never know what kind of day somebody's had it. So give them a benefit of the doubt. And just try to come with some really good questions to ask people that maybe aren't what I call the howdy doody questions, the same questions that everybody asks at every event. So where are you from? What are you doing this weekend? I mean, that's not horrible, but it's just, they're not necessarily anything interesting or different. So try to come up with some things that are interesting and fun. Do some research. There's a ton of stuff online of things you can ask. One of my favorite questions, now this is not a starter question, but this is a question that if you've been talking to somebody for a while is, tell me about a personal passion project you're working on right now. And they're like, personal passion project? Let me think about that. Well, actually, it's interesting enough. I've been really learning how to blah, 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 blah. Or my wife and I have actually just bought a Harley and we've just been loving traveling across, the state and taking little weekend getaways. So that's kind of been a little passion thing for us. So whatever it might be, but people like talking about that. Plus you can get to know them a little bit on a personal level. So get out there, have some fun, and just get outside your comfort zone. Good luck. Bye.